ঠিক আছে। A very good afternoon to one and all present over here. Due to pandemic COVID-19, we all are stuck at home. Therefore, Dhyan Group has come up with great initiative to provide us the platform of self-learning. Apart from conducting live lecture session as well webinar session, Dhyan Group also provide online classes for CLAT as well for other law entrance examinations. Not only that, Dhyan Group also provide online semester classes to the interested students. As like any other day, today also we are gathered together to conduct another live lecture session on developing academic writing skills. Being a legal professional, it is very much required in our field to have adequate writing skills. Therefore, Dhyan Group has decided to conduct today's session. In today's session, we will be having with us respected Dr. Rosy Yumnam ma'am from English and Foreign Languages University, Shillong. Ma'am has completed her MA degree in English from University of Pune and received her PhD degree from English and Foreign Languages University, Shillong. Prior to join this university, she has already taught in Maharashtra Academy of Engineering, Pune, Tolani Maritime Institute of Pune, Bhavans College, Mumbai. Not only that, she has also edited a book titled Literature and Discourse, Culture, Language and Pedagogy in Northeast India. She has also her research interest in language, literature skill, etc. Therefore, we are very much thankful to ma'am for joining with us. At last but not the least, we wish you all a great session ahead. Thank you very much. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Asta, for your kind words. It's indeed a privilege to be speaking in this platform amongst you all, amongst lawyers and budding lawyers, right? Thank you, Dhyan, for inviting me in this lecture series. Well, today the topic of discussion is something which we are all familiar with and something which plays a pertinent role in shaping our career as well as our lives, that is writing. So I'll be speaking on academic writing today, and as we all know, academic writing plays a very important role in any field, be it law, language, arts, social sciences, management, engineering, or medicine, or and so on and so forth. Well, just give me a minute because I want to share my slide, right? Let me just try setting up. Just a moment. Can you see the slide? Is the slide visible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Yes,
ma'am. It is visible now.
All right. Thank you. Well, the topic is developing academic writing skills. Let's begin right away, as I have been given 20 minutes to speak. So without much ado, let me start with the structure of my presentation. Well, I'm going to speak on these 5 points. The first one is, of course, we have to define what is academic writing. Second, planning for your writing task, right? The third point is reading critically. How do you read critically, right? If in academic writing, if we do not have content, we cannot pursue. So for that, we need to read, right? And the next point is what? Intertextuality. Intertextuality is nothing but relationship between text. And the last one is how to structure an argument. All right. Now let's go ahead with the first point, that is academic writing. What is academic writing? Now look at the slide there. Just think over. Have you been doing all these activities at some, or at least some of it, in at some point of your life, right? Look at the points there. Reading. Yes, you have been doing it. Of course. Not making. Yes. Researching. Yes, you have been doing this also. Planning. Oh, yes. Structuring, writing, revising, referencing. Referencing, you might not be doing it, but let's see what is it later on. You all know what is referencing. We'll be doing this in detail later. Editing and then sharing, right? So these are all aspects of teaching and learning, and all this is a part of academic writing, right? Now, what is this academic writing? Academic writing is nothing but what? It's the process of presenting ideas in a rational, organized, systematic, reasonable, and logical way. Now, you might be asking, you must be, wondering, yes, I have been doing this. I have been writing in this process. So why not my writing is academic, right? So let's see what is the difference. Yes, you all have been, in a way you have been writing, you have been doing academic writing. Now let's see the difference between academic writing and other forms of writing, right? Like what, journalistic writing or creative writing. Creative writing, you must be a poet, you must be you must have written stories, you must have written articles in newspapers or journals, right? So what is it different? How is it different from academic writing? Well, in most forms of academic writing, a detached and objective approach is required. An academic argument appeals to logic and provides evidence in support of an intellectual position. However, academic writing can take many forms. You may be also asked to write an essay or a report or a review, and different styles adhere to each of these types of academic writing. So always check with your professor. And in academic writing, what happens? Writers always interact with each other's text, and so there will be frequent references to the ideas, thinking, or research of other authors writing in this field. You must give credit to those with whom you are interacting. This credit, giving credit, this referencing is very important in academic writing. Also, in academic writing, it is important that when a claim is made, right, it is backed up by reasons based on some form of evidence. So it is expected that the author takes a critical approach to the material being explored, right? So let's get on to the next topic. This is the types of academic writing. I'll not be going into detail. We have this descriptive narration, and the other one is what? Persuasive or argumentative, right? We'll not go in detail. Let's look at this. Look at this collage over here. What makes your academic writing good? What makes appealing, right? So look at this. Look at that. Your vocabulary, the language, your grammar is important. When you write, it should be clear. The introduction should be clear. Your statements of purpose should be clear, and your conclusions should also be clear, right? And writing in plain English, revising your work, always reading it back to check whether it makes sense or not. So these are some parts of it. Yes, you have summarizing, you have the style of writing, punctuation, referencing, quoting. These are some important aspects of, to make your writing good. Now, next point is characteristics of academic writing. Well, what are the characteristics? Well, the first point is what? Before anything, even forget writing, forget academic writing, even in our lives, right? When now you're planning, the first important point is what? Planning in writing, in academic writing. So planning is important, not only in your writing, but when and every time. Now, you want to meet your friends, right? Now your friends are scattered here and there in different parts of the country and even abroad. Now, if you want to meet, how do you meet? Like this platform, virtual meeting. So how do? You plan for it, right? So in the same way in academic writing, you plan it, right? Planning is very important. And suppose I give you a topic. The topic is a person who has made a difference, right? So for this, you start thinking, who has made a difference? Who, right? you think over. Now it might be what Mother Teresa, APJ Abdul Kalam, Kalpana Chawla, Mary Kom, MS Dhoni, or even your father, your mom, or your grandfather. Now, after thinking, you finalize. Yes, I'll be writing, I'll be planning to write on my grandfather. Then you start listing down your things, your words, phrases, which is related to what your grandfather has done. Why do you think he has made a difference? So then, after that, after the outline is done, after the planning is done, you make an outline. In outline, it will help you formulate your thoughts, make you aware of certain relationship between topics, right? And the tone which you're going to use it uses what? A formal tone. You should not be using slang words, jargon. You should not be using your WhatsApp languages, your Twitter languages, your Facebook languages, right? Or you should not be using cliches. And the language is in your paper needs to be clear and concise. And the point of view should be in the third person, as the focus of academic writing is to educate on the facts, not support an opinion. The approach which is what? Deductive reasoning. Deductive reasoning is a big part of academic writing, as your readers have to follow the path that brought you to your conclusion. Now, let's see, where do you use academic writing, right? Where do you use essays? Yes, you have been writing essays till now. Then book reviews. Yes, some of you might have done this. Research report, if you have been given assignment, a project by your professors. Yes, you have to follow this. You have to write. Yeah, you have to follow this. Then next is what? Research proposal. If you're going to pursue after your MA, if you're going to pursue PhD or any research as such, then you need a proposal. You need to submit a proposal. For that, you need academic writing, then scientific journal, scientific paper, academic journal, thesis and dissertation, right? Thesis and dissertation for your PhD. Yeah. Now, yes. What happened? Why is it stuck? Yes. Yes. Now, you know what is academic writing now. We know what is academic writing. Let's get on to the next point, that is planning your writing task. Well, writing consists of four main stages, that is planning, writing, editing, and reviewing, right? So the first thing is what? First is pre-writing. When you plan for writing, we have plans already, right? I have given you examples. Now, when you plan, you have the topic ready. Now you start to free write. Free writing is what? It's nothing but just writing without worrying about the content, about the grammar, the vocabulary, or the logical, connections, right? You just, whatever comes to your mind, just keep writing, right? The second point is what? Using primary evidence or published sources, published or the secondary sources. When reading and gathering information in academic context, evidence comes from two sources, that is primary and the published sources. As undergraduate and postgraduate students, you will be depending mostly on the published sources, right? Published or the secondary sources. Published or secondary sources are nothing but the books and the journals which are available, which your professors might have, recommended to read, right? And this primary evidence is nothing but what? Those questionnaires, interviews, focus groups, or experiments that are used by a researcher to gather data to answer a specific research question, right? So it is important to read appropriate peer-reviewed journals in your literature when planning your academic writing. So your professor would be recommending you with some good journals as well as books, right? The next point is what? Referencing the work of others in one's own writing. Well, in academic writing, you will almost always draw on the work of other writers. Key is the key to a successful academic writing. There are a variety of referencing systems, like you have MLA, APA, Chicago style, and all. You always refer to go to your professor. They will be guiding you with the style of, citation and the referencing style. Yeah. So this referencing is very important. Why? To avoid plagiarism, right? You might have heard about plagiarism on and off, right? So what is this plagiarism, right? Plagiarism is nothing but the practice of taking someone else's work or ideas and passing them off as one's own. So, in simple words, it is what? It is cheating. It's unethical. You'll be even punished for that, right? So, to avoid this, how do you plan your writing? Yeah, we'll come to that in detail in the third section, right? Okay. Now, after this, we have structure and sequence. Of course, in every writing, yeah, we have, as in every writing, in academic writing also, we do have introduction, the main body, and conclusion, right? Let's see the next point. Well, I have some activities planned, but then as we have just 20 minutes, we'll not go into this. The third point is reading critically. Now, content is very important in writing. Of course, in academic writing also, content is very important. Without content, we cannot do anything, right? So where do we get this content? We get it from what? From where? By reading, right? So reading critically and drawing relevant material from scholarly text is very important in academic writing. In every discipline, writing helps us to learn to think critically about our own ideas and the ideas of others. Academic writing is closely linked to reading. You will rarely be asked to write without first being expected to read some works. In academic writing, it will almost draw on the work of others, and so it's essential that you must learn to read critically. And how do you read critically, right? How do you become a critical reader and draw relevant material from scholarly text to craft essays, right? So I'll just briefly elaborate on some points here. To become a good academic reader, you must approach the text as something that needs a response from you, right? Active reading requires a planned approach so that you can begin to grapple with the meaning in the text. When you are ready to read an article, use a method that works best for you. You can use your pen, pencil, your paper, or your laptop, or your mobile even. But as you read, start writing. You keep writing the points, right? When you do this, you are drawing on the work and ideas of an author, and it is important to integrate the work of others in an honest way by referencing the original source. See, in academic writing, you always refer to others' works, right? And so that has to be properly given. We have to give credit to those works. So proper referencing is important, right? So how do you do this, right? So citing sources, how do you do this? Referencing is important, as I have mentioned earlier, to avoid plagiarism in academic writing. Okay, so let me give you 3 important skills to help your work being plagiarized, right? Those are summarizing, paraphrasing, and direct quotations. You know what is summarizing, paraphrasing, and direct quotations. Let me just briefly get into it. Yeah, if you do these 3 things properly, 3 activities properly, then your work will be free from plagiarism. You don't have to worry about plagiarism, because whenever you write something, your thesis, or if you do your PhD, or even if you write even now also, if you're given a project or a research work, while submission, your teacher might tell you, no plagiarism, I don't want any plagiarism, right? So for that, you need to master these 3 important skills, right? Let's see, quickly get on to it. Difference between summary and paraphrase. Summary and paraphrase, let's quickly get into it. Summary, most often apply to a longer passage, yes, and you have been doing the summary writing, right? And paraphrase, most often apply to a sentence or 2. It may be more also, no problem. It depends on the situation. Then second point is what? Shortens and prioritize the elements of a passage that are most important. Second point, again, paraphrase, captures the full extent of line, passage, and all of its arguments and pieces. In paraphrase, you cannot leave out anything. In summary, you can just summarize. You can just write the important points, what you feel is important. But in paraphrase, you cannot leave out anything. Whatever the author has said, you have to put it properly, right? Of course, in a different way, with your own words, but the meaning should be same. The third point is what? Uses more simplified language than the original, yeah, which is same for paraphrase as well. And the fourth point is very important. Summary is what? A statement about the text from the reader's perspective. If you have read something, you are going to write from your perspective, what you think about what you have read, right? In paraphrase, it's a restatement, mind the words, a restatement of the text as if from the narrator's perspective. Here you need citation also. You're going to write from the perspective of the author. You're going to cite the author as well in while paraphrasing. Are we clear here? I'll give you examples so that you'll be more clear in this. Well, to write a summary, it's very simple here. Let's just quickly get into it. The original paragraph is what? Eating breakfast helps you spread out your hunger and manage your food intake better throughout the day. If you start out the day by eating something, you don't get this burning hunger later that causes you to overeat. So this is a summary. You have summarized in your own words what you felt, right? That is, read through, right? So it's, you have summarized in just a line or so, right? So let's get into the next slide. How to paraphrase. Paraphrasing is very important in academic writing. The first point is what? Include key points and subpoints of the original source, right? Then write a paraphrase in your own words and use your own sentence structure. Suppose the sentence is an active passive, active voice. So you change into passive voice, and so on. You can always change the sentence structure. You can use synonyms. You have to write in your own words, right? And the third point is what? Always cite a paraphrase. Let me give you an example. Yes, this is a paraphrase. Look at the source text there. And the paraphrase. Let me read the paraphrase, right? According to Baylis, 2003. See, Baylis is the author from the source text. He is the author, right? Baylis, 2003 is the what? 2003 is the publication, the year of publication of the book by Baylis. So according to Baylis, although the implementation of privatization programs has been a priority for many governments, progress in the area has not been as rapid as expected in the early 1980s. See, progress from the source text is written, progress has been slower than was anticipated. And in the paraphrase, progress in the area has not been as rapid as expected. Yeah? Do you see the difference here? Right? So if you follow this pattern, if you write this way, then your work will be free from plagiarism. You don't have to worry about anything. Right? Then the last point is what? Direct quotation. Yeah? We have got summarizing, paraphrasing, and direct quotations, right? Direct quotations is as simple as this. As Barnes observed, see, within quotes, you cannot change anything. You have to write the way you have read, right? Within quotes, within inverted commas. All right? So you have the year of the publication of the book and the page number from where these lines have been taken. Clear? So these are direct quotations. Okay? So this technique, I can say techniques, for writing effectively can help your work from being plagiarized. Okay? Well, let's quickly go back. Yes. Here, when writing paraphrase, I had mentioned to you that we have to cite, right? So this is citing according to Baylis 2003. So this is the citation. We need citation. Whereas in your summary writing, we didn't cite. You see the difference? Yeah? Are we clear? Yes. Now, this is again an activity. We'll not be getting into it. We'll go to intertextuality. Well, intertextuality is what? Again, making connections between text and putting forward your own understanding. Well, when writing your paper, you will read a number of texts. The next stage is to move between the text and draw ideas together before putting forward your own understanding. This is intertextual work and an important part of academic writing, where an important task is negotiating how to relate and make connections between the ideas drawn from different writers and putting forward your own understanding. Yeah, making your own assertion. All right. So intertextuality is also very important. Then uh, building your argument. Right. Next, let's get into the next point. This is again an activity. We'll not be going into this. The last point is structuring an argument. Well, there is no one technique for developing a good argument, but argument has a number of key elements, including focus, logic, and evidence. Right? Good argument shows an ability to express a critical and objective outlook. And as lawyers, you need argumentative skills, right? Yeah. So how do we develop these argumentative skills? In order to construct a strong and logical argument, Leakey notes that it is important to avoid the common flows. Let me just point out some of the common uh, flows, right? When making an argument, exaggeration and unsubstantiated generalizations should be avoided. Oversimplification of your argument or of the opposing argument, logical flows, appeals to inappropriate authorities, emotionally charged words, out of date facts. Keep your tone controlled and reasonable, and argument and to apprise opposing points of view. So the skills you are developing include the ability to write an objective tone, to use relevant sources to support your argument, and to provide a logical and systematic analysis. Yes, are we clear here? Again, an activity. Now, yes, finding your voice. Uh, in academic writing, the use of voice is not about emotion or personal experience, but about being clear, concise, accurate, and backing up what is being said with evidence, making a judgment, and assessing the contribution of other writers, right? And so, finally, to conclude, so far we have discussed how to develop an academic writing skills. At least some of the points are with you now, at least some of it, right? So what do we do now? Start writing. Express your views on the material which you have read with proper logical reasoning. Then after you have written, what do? You revise, you edit, you draft and redraft, and yes, your writing is ready. Yes, that's all. Thank you.
Ma'am, you can illustrate some of the important points because we have 40 minutes in total.
You have 40 minutes in total. I thought I was given 20 minutes. Yeah, it's okay. Shall I? Yeah, I'll go back again. Is that fine? I'll go back.
Yes,
Wait.
ma'am, you can just illustrate some of the important points.
Okay, I'll do that. Huh? Well, okay. Uh, right. So when I say to read critically and to write critically, well, let me just point out some points over there. Yes, being critical. Being critical is not about just praising or tearing apart the work of others. When you say critical, you're being very critical. It's not just about praising or tearing someone else's work, right? Adopting a critical stance to a text means paying close attention to the text in terms of definitions, ideas, assumptions, and findings or arguments. It is focused questioning and interrogation which is respectful of what others have done and contributed. It's not about being negative about the work of others, but assessing the contribution of other scholars. So, asking and answering the questions which follow will help you as a student, as a researcher, or a student to judge the work of other scholars. It's to understand the work of other scholars. It's not about just uh, being critical, or you're trying to say bad things about that particular work. It's not like that. You're going to read critically, understand the work, right? And then try to assess the contribution made by the author, right? And then you can also bring in the points which you have absorbed from that particular text and then use in your own writing. Okay, so that is that is called being critical. All right, and being critical is important. Reading and writing, critically is important to be a successful academic writer, right? And then what else? We can go to the exercises, right? These are clear, right? Summary paraphrases. Yes. Uh, well, why I'm emphasizing on this point, reading critically, because uh, reading critically is a very important part of academic writing, as I have told you earlier, right? So when you make a critical stance, yeah, so that itself is what backed by evidences, and you have got it's logical, and you have supported, you have proper you have proper reasoning of why you have taken this stance. All right, so look at this activity, a critical synopsis of a text, right? So when you have to write a critical synopsis, suppose you have a case study, you have an assignment given to you by your professor. So you are asked to write a critical review on that particular work given to you, right? So what do you do? First point is what? The first one, what are the authors saying that has relevance to my work, right? What are the authors saying that has relevance to my work? You have been given a topic. All right. Now for that, what do? You have to read, journals or books which pertains to your particular work, to what you are going to write. Okay. So now you go and read the journals and books, from other authors. Then what do? What is this critical? How do you bring in your critical analysis? You have to see what are the authors saying that has relevance to my work. Okay, so you have to bring in. If you are going to write on, suppose I'm writing. I will be giving you example from my fields. All right. So suppose I'm writing on a topic. CLIL. CLIL is an approach of teaching English language. All right. So I'll be reading materials, journals, and books based on CLIL. All right. Now, then, when I'm writing some paper, something, the topic of the paper is something like teaching speaking skills using CLIL. Right. So I'll be referring to the books by other authors, journals, or books, on CLIL, and then bring it to my work. All right. So that is your critical stance. Fine. So second is what? How convincing are the author's statements? All right. How convincing are the author's statements? And the third one is, how can I use in my assignment? Okay. How will you bring in? How will you, that intertextuality, remember I talked about, right? How will I use all this text and make a connection? How will I bring together in my work? In the topic, remember I gave you an example, teaching speaking skills using CLIL. So how will I bring the connections to my writing? Okay, so that is a critical synopsis of a text, right? This is another activity. You can try it out. Fine. Then let's go get into this intertextuality, right? In intertextuality, see, it's what? Intertextuality is what? It's making connections between text and putting forward your own understanding. You have been referring when you are going to write an assignment or a research proposal. You'll be referring to many books. Now, how do you relate it? How do you bring the relationship between the different texts? That is intertextuality. All right. So in this activity, what do? Find two scholarly articles from your own discipline and answer the following questions. Right. What are the questions given here? How does the writer create a context using the text of others? Right? Think about it. How does the writer create a context using the text of others? Okay, how does the writer means you as a writer? Okay, the second point is how does the writer use the text of others to build her or his own argument? All right. Oh, sorry. The writer in the sense here is the writer of that, the articles which you are following. All right. So how does the writer create a context using the text of others? Second is what? How does the writer use the text of others to build her, his own argument? And the third one is what? Write down any connections or differences you can see between the two articles. So in a way, intertextuality, see why I'm giving you these activities, because by referring to other scholarly articles, you'll get to see how to write, how the process of writing, the examples, you'll be getting the examples. You can write, you can see the writing style, and then you can start to write your own academic writing. Clear? Now, in structuring an argument, see, let's look at this activity. In this section, structuring an argument, the first one is what? Select a passage from a scholarly piece of writing in your own discipline which builds a good argument and examine it to see how the author achieves this. So you have to, in a way, in simple words, what do? You see, you read, you try to read many articles and learn how to build this good argument, and based on that you can learn how to build up this good argument, right? And next, for second point is what? Now focus on your own piece of writing. Free write for 5 minutes in full sentences and ask yourself, what is my argument? Right? You have to keep practicing. As lawyers, you need the skills, right? You need to have a good argumentative skills, right? So then the third point is what? Read over what you have written and reduce your argument to just 25 words. So see, writing, you become an effective writer by what? By practicing. You have to start writing, and only you will perfect your writing skills. All right. Yes, is it okay now? I think we can go for some.
Thank you very much, ma'am,
All right.
for your valuable for sharing with us your valuable knowledge. We are
Okay.
also thankful to all our
Thank you very much. Noting that the visual medium offers choices.